Thank y'all so much for coming in. Thank y'all for joining us tonight on Kicking It with Kirk.
Thanks for tuning in to the Introvert Dating Success Show.
Welcome to our second edition of Diversity in Lighting.
Tonight's video is super off the cuff.
The first question of the day, plain and simple, is marriage hard?
We're going to be answering a question from a guy. His current girlfriend has been communicating with a toxic ex-boyfriend.
How do we get VIPOCs into these positions of power?
I want to talk about performative activism and why it's so harmful to the Black Lives Matter movement.
So let's dive in it, man.
Revolution. If you don't like what we doing, if you don't want to rock with the NFAC, that's cool. Form your own militia.
There is a playbook for this shit. It's not like we have to create it from scratch just because now we're all digital.
We need people who are there on the computer and off of it. You have to be there for the good and the bad. You can't just be there when it's most convenient for you.
If they was really about what they was about, they would have been at all the formations.
You need to make sure also that Black ideas and Black people creating culture get funded.
It's not just who we see on stage, it's those that they point to at their curtain call.
Listen, have the conversation, be humble, admit what mistakes were made.
These chat rooms can go, boy. This thing has me rolling. Somebody did say, what about them women who be proposing to their men? Should the men take their last name? Absolutely. Absolutely.
If you want to be a part of this fight, you're going to have to learn to be uncomfortable.
Revolution.
Peace and welcome everyone to What's Up, Roadie? How you doing? I am Noelle Jordan, creator and executive producer for What's Up, Roadie. In my career, I am a touring and live event stage manager and lighting designer. What's Up, Roadie? How you doing? It really was created as a safe space for the 12 million strong industry professionals. Someplace for us to talk it out about our worries, how much we're missing the production life, if we're missing it, if we're looking for new careers, and more. Today, we are joined by a mental health advocate, and I thank you all for joining this conversation. I encourage everyone to join in the live chats and ask questions. And today, we will be moderated by Narlia Sterling, who is an actress and television and film producer and a fellow Howard University alumni like myself. Thank you, Narlia.
Thank you, Noelle. Welcome everybody to What's Up, Roadie. Thanks for tuning in. We have an amazing show for you all today, taking on part 2 of the tour and venue cycle. Today's panelists, we have some amazing guests with us today. We're going to be speaking with Miss Ashley Lomax. She is a touring VIP meet and greet coordinator. She has worked within the music touring world for over 10 years. She started out doing local work, working for VIP Nation for over 9 years. She's toured as VIP touring representative for artists such as Janet Jackson, Slipknot, Kanye West, Chris Brown, Stone Sour, and many more. Ashley currently works in the music touring world as a hospitality coordinator for artists such as Chris Brown and Big 3 Basketball. Welcome, Ashley. How are you?
I'm doing as well as you can be.
Wonderful. I'm sorry. Oh, perfect. Our next panelist is Wes Rutland. He is an amazing lighting designer, owner of AA Productions, started out as a musician and moved his way into production, realizing that that was his passion. So how are you today, Wes?
Doing great. Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Happy to have you. Can't wait to hear more about AA Productions.
We love to talk about it.
Our next panelist is Polo Posey, who is a phenomenal stage manager. Mr. Posey, would you care to elaborate on what exactly you do in this industry?
Manage time. Period. That's basically my job, is making sure that I get you on stage, off stage, making sure that I have the right crew for the job, making sure it's just about time. Just making sure, that's all it really comes down for me. It's just about time. Because if I'm a minute late, it's all bad.
Okay.
The show
All right.
goes over, it's managing time.
Then that's on the stage manager. All right now. Well, thank you for coming, Mr. Polo. We're going to hear a lot more about your role and what you do as a stage manager and how COVID's affecting you as well. And then we have an amazing mental health advocate, Mr. James Woodard. He's managing partner and a musician with Future Band DC LLC. Hello, Mr. Woodard. How are you?
I'm good, man. Thank you guys so much for allowing me to be on this platform. I really appreciate it.
Welcome. Lovely to have you all. So we're just going to jump right in. You know, a lot of people want to know exactly where were you during the COVID trials when COVID hit. Exactly what were you doing when the shutdown happening? What was your position when we had to go rogue back in March? Anybody want to start off?
I guess I'll kick it off. Last winter, I was finishing up doing VIP for Chris Brown, which led me into doing a tour manager position for this newer artist named Dominic Fike. So I had just come off of a international and domestic tour with him and was basically coming back in what would be the usual tour schedule of it's teetering to December, January. We're not going to have work probably. I've got a break till about February. And right before it, the Rock and Roll Marathon was going to happen in DC. So that was actually me coming back home, having about a month to relax. And the next thing up was this marathon. And then maybe 2 weeks later, the pandemic really started.
Wow. You had a whole lot planned, I see, and uprooted.
By March or April, you know, you're either getting in rehearsals for something or just waiting on the call for something in April or May to run it to the next summer. So, you know, January and February is normally a time where you get a break.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. What about you, Wes? Where were you when shutdown happened? And
I was in Baltimore, Maryland, with my wonderful family members, Polo and Noel. We were out on tour with the Rod Wave tour. I think we were about 2 weeks in, and we had quite the experience that day. It was the first time. We always joke in the industry, you know, let's load in twice just for practice. So this is the first time I ever loaded in, and it was actually practice. So we loaded in, and I was actually focusing lights, and then the radio went off. Got to Omaha, 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 and I thought it was a joke at first. We had all talked about it. We were joking about, the coronavirus at the time. Is it going to catch up to us? And we knew it was there, but didn't really know that it was going to happen. And then all of a sudden it got real very quick.
Mm-hmm.
And the boss called a meeting, said, let's go eat some dinner. Then we're going to load out and we hit the bus. And then shortly after, I want to say it was about right around 9 o'clock at night, we were in the bus. We were back to the buses. Never, ever been on a bus in my bunk before 9 o'clock in my life. So I laid down and I kind of dozed off. We were heading to North Carolina the next day. And then next thing I know, the production assistant was opening my bunk. Hey, the boss wants to see you, with Maceo, which we had on the show last week.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of knew at that point, at 11:30, we were still sitting in Baltimore. We hadn't moved anywhere.
So you guys were kind of stuck.
Yeah. So
okay.
We went to the other bus, sat down in the lounge, and that's when they said, tour's canceled.
Ooh.
Let me know how many plane tickets. Let's start working on flights home. Let's figure it out. So
wow.
It was abrupt.
Yeah, very. You guys are on tour, so you were out in the actual elements dealing with that. So what has it been like for you guys within the past 3 months to 6 months that we've been dealing with this? How do you think that you've been processing this, like your mental state? How has that been hitting you guys?
For me, it was so abrupt. It was so like you said, we just got finished doing sound check. So I think a few days leading up to that, where it got serious for me was when we do a crew night when we're off. And we went to a bar to bowl. We went to a bowling alley to bowl. And when it became serious to me, I was looking at the TV monitors, and one of the monitors was saying that the NBA was shutting down. And that to me seemed pretty intense. And then when they said Tom Hanks got it, I was like, to me, right at that point, I was like, no, this is something, this is different. You know what I'm saying? Well, everybody was still talking about the tour was, we're going to be fine. It just didn't, like, no, come on, man. That's that guy's Tom Hanks got it. So when we get to work, all this happened. Next thing you know, we finished sound check and he gives us the call. It's just been traumatic. It's just been crazy. You just don't know. I don't know what's going on. I get on the plane. There's nobody on the plane. It's crazy.
So how have you been coping though? Like, everything stopped abruptly. How do you pick up and keep moving in a post-COVID world? What does that look like? Like, what have been, I guess, Polo, any tools that you have specifically been adapting to?
No, you know what I tell you? It's just, we tour so much and do shows so much, you take for granted you don't see your family as much. You know what I mean? If I come home, you know what I'm saying? They're in bed. You know what I'm saying? Where they get up. So what has helped me personally is being around my family, seeing what their everyday life is like. You know what I'm saying? Participating in my son. That's the kind of thing that helped me. I don't know how I would deal with it if I didn't have my family. So that's number
important.
one.
That's
very important. But dealing with work is like, and thinking about work, it just seems like we're in no man's land. I don't know what's happening. You don't know who to believe. You don't know, and you're listening and watching everything go. You had so much planned, so many things that you were gonna do, and it's just over. And it's like me, I'm kind of like, you know what I did? I just let it go. And I'm being honest with you guys, like maybe I don't want to go back. You know what I'm saying? Because it's so scary. We were talking and touching and meeting people, and we were close and around thousands of people. It's like, I don't know what to think.
So Miss Ashley, like to piggyback off of that, well, you said you had a lot of stuff that was already set up. You were getting ready for summertime, and now everything is to the wind.
I mean,
and you work in a meet and greet space, right? So how does that work in your elements?
After 10, 11 years of doing meet and greets for Live Nation specifically, and then teetering off and making my career be other things past 4 or 5 years, and then every once in a while I'll get a VIP thing in between. Not to name drop, but it's an example. Top of last year, I got asked to test drive Cardi B doing meet and greets. Only 10 people, middle of the country, for like a week and a half. Cool. But for some reason, because I hadn't done it in some years, I forgot about just how much contact that all actually really is. And if you think about, I've been helping friends get off proverbial ledges and getting realistic in what this thing has been, kind of from the beginning. Because in my mind, I feel like if an artist gets a bad phone call and our show is set off and pushed 15 minutes, I would imagine a pandemic that's killing thousands is going to push us in years, right? So instead of living a lie of being hopeful, we'll be back by June, we'll be back by August, whatever start dates we know shows to start, I really was trying to be more cognizant of, okay, let me figure out and hone my skills on what I do. So whenever we come back, I'm not lazy about it. Or let me tell somebody, please go get some other work. Nothing that messes with your pride, but just to keep you afloat, because we're not coming back next month like you think. I know what you had planned. It's not happening. And that I came to it quick because I let the episode of being sad about it run quicker. But with touring, my first tour with Janet, I found out on Facebook on Christmas Eve we were postponed. Not by management, not by anybody else. So when I started touring fully on the bus,
wow,
started with, I got 3 months under my belt for the first time after local work, for the first time, and then it was ripped immediately. So that anxiety of what's going to happen, what to do in between, I dealt with before this. Kanye stopped the St. Pablo tour after a breakdown. I've seen it. So one of the things I've been doing is I've been trying to appreciate being home, because I don't miss home. I'm not a homesick person. My family travels a lot as well, but I wanted to take full responsibility of being able to do something while I was here. So I've never gardened. I've never seen a single thing grow. I've never had a pet.
Get a garden, yes.
Right? I've been emphasizing to people to do certifications. I've been on that.
It's a good time.
Contract law. I've been doing intellectual property stuff just so when we come back, because I would like to remind people in realism, because that's the bubble I like to pop. If we come back in some way that makes sense, we're going to be doing 2 jobs.
Yeah.
It won't be skeleton crews, but we will be doing more than our rate was giving us before, because we got to play this now. Right.
So do y'all feel like it's a blessing in disguise? Like what things have you adapted or learned to adapt to because of this?
I know
new skills
on our end. So we are doing some socially distanced concerts, very safe outdoor concert. The first thing that we've learned is what we can do without.
Wow.
It's really great to have 12 stage hands, but we can do it with 6.
Yeah.
We got to, it's been 3 months ago, the first concert we did. And we went from doing, when we first kind of shut down, we converted our warehouse into a studio for live concert studio streaming. So we had sat inside, for lack of a better term, been in the air conditioning for 3 months. And then we went outside in the Georgia heat in the dead of summer to do a concert with 6 people. Stage, sound, lights, video wall, load in, load out. 6 people. The hardest I've ever worked in my life, and it was the best feeling ever. Undeniably, it was so good to be back at work. The owners of AA Production, the company that I work for, they refused to quit. We don't quit. We're a team here. We're a family here. And so we just said, we've got to do something to stay afloat, to make something happen, but it ain't going to be pretty. And it wasn't, but we're still here. It's nothing like it used to be, but I know I was going stir crazy. I had, and we finally got back into somewhat a little bit of normalcy. And so that payoff has been worth every extra bit of sweat or muscle loss or whatever heartache we've gone through. It's a new realization of, hate to say it, maybe we got a little too cushy. Maybe we got a little too used to what we were doing. Maybe we felt like we were a little bit more entitled than we were, than we actually are. And what's cool is about everything, the cool thing, whether, we're a fairly small production company. We work nationally. But in the scheme of things, us as a little guy and the big guys, the big boys, we're all on the same playing field right now. Everybody's equal. It has affected everybody the same.
Almost.
True.
Oh, almost. Hello?
Oh, I'm on mute.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I was just piggybacking as far as picking up slack from the limited crews and having to deal with those stress preceptors and going into that, like how should one handle that, or how have you seen that transition happened between having, like you said, 12 stagehands now to 6? And maybe are there any tips that could be offered, you know, for those people that have to deal with that?
The only tip I have came from a friend of ours. He's a Navy SEAL, and it's a saying: embrace the suck. And as simple as that is, it's a mindset. Everybody in this industry, I don't care if you're a stagehand or designer or an engineer, we are all tougher than your average person. Mine's mentally, some of us physically. We all have more than what we really fully realize. And if you change that mindset to embrace the suck, you know it's going to be bad, but do it anyways. You move past, it's harsh, and it is, but that's the mindset that we've been operating off of. And at the end of the day, we're sleeping really good. We're feeling good about ourselves, and we're accomplishing more with less. So from that aspect of things, it's been great. It's been a mindset change. So, but embrace the suck. That is my advice.
No, I totally get that, especially because we've chosen this lifestyle, right? We already know what we're getting ourselves into.
Give it up. We love it. Everybody loves it too much.
So when you love something so much, can it be detrimental to your health? You know, in that case, like James, I know you are our mental health advocate. So are there any like tools or tips that you could, you know, have, or anything that you yourself might have experienced? Are there, I know you also are working with music. So how does that relate to the musician's world?
Absolutely.
Coping.
So I want to say that I appreciate a lot of what everybody kind of touched on, and especially Ashley in saying that you know, she just kind of expounded on her capabilities in identifying different areas that she could improve on. And so why I'm here, why I'm the mental health advocate. I'm not a mental health specialist. I just advocate for mental health in the sense of I was a touring musician. I have a 7-piece band, and we traveled a lot. And where I was when the pandemic hit, I mean, my schedule was extremely booked all the way through 2021. It was probably looking the best that it's looked in my course of doing music. And then as soon as the pandemic hit, it pulled the rug from under me. Me being the manager of my band, it hit me the hardest because I'm the go-to person on, okay, so what do we do next? And I didn't have an answer for the guys that looked to me for guidance. And so it kind of affected us in a way that it affected our mental space. And so I took it upon myself to branch out of music and identify ways to be able to deal with that. And so what I did is I had started a podcast where I would interview different mental health specialists to improve on different areas that ultimately would just help us be in a better space and identify tools that can push us in areas that we weren't considering before. I know that all of you being on the road so often, that you don't have the opportunity to spend time with family as much. So how can we reconnect with the family that we've missed so much? I know sometimes that we don't have an opportunity to talk about our physical health. How can we reconnect with being more conscious about our eating habits? How can we be more conscious about exercising? And then there's so many of us that are in this space. How can we create a community to identify how to reinvent what our jobs look like? What does it look like to do sound or to do lighting or to do staging in the next phase? How can we just revamp and be prepared for when those things happen? And so, you know, if I could provide a tip to anybody, it would be to, you know, develop these type of platforms and these type of communities to be able to bounce ideas off of one another, and also to understand that you're not in this alone. You know, everybody's feeling it at the same time, you know. So if I'm having a down day, I can reach out to Wes, and Wes can talk me through it. If Noelle's having a down day, she could reach out to Polo, and we can just work with one another and able to push all of us forward at the same time.
which I mean, that's what tour life is all about.
Yeah.
You know, when you are down or you are behind or you are having trouble, your brother or sister next to you is going to step in and pick you up, you know, help you pick you up, get you back up. Polo, how many times? I mean, every day.
Yo, wait, listen, we could be on, we could be there, man. And some days, I'm serious, you feel so down, you know. I said I have my family around, but it's like you guys have mentioned before, that it's just we took for granted, you know, what we were doing to the earth, to our family. Just it's changed my life, you know what I mean? It's changed everybody's life, and that's the thing. Everybody's feeling it. It's not like, you know, oh, it's only a certain amount of people are doing it. No, everyone. And it's
every industry.
Every industry. And I'm seeing guys that that's special that you guys are able to you were able to do what you're doing, Wes. But I work in LA. I work at the Novo. I work at the Palladium. I work at the, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's done. It's like, and you like she mentioned earlier, you had a schedule. You're bringing it to me again. It's like you think you got, you're living so high. You're thinking you're doing everything. You're missing what's really going on in the world.
And
actually sitting in
the rug is swept up under you.
Yes.
And it's weird when, especially once I started doing hospitality stuff, because I ended up in a space where I have to really know everybody, every bus, every person on the bus, allergies, who's with who, that kind of thing. And most people know this. I like to say this often, is that when you're on the road and you go outside to get some air and you see somebody in the far off corner of the dock somewhere on the phone, you know the drill. Don't go over there, but they know I'm gonna come bug you in 10 minutes and check on you. That type of stuff. But even with that, a crew member that I toured with in the midst of the pandemic took his own life. And it confused me at first until I thought about it, that I might be in my mid 30s, but he's in his early 50s. He's been doing this since he was 18. And I started realizing that people weren't sure. And I've started learning people didn't know who they were without work, because our work sculpted who we were to others.
Exactly.
Like,
Exactly.
like, oh, you worked for Kanye, lifted them 5 notches.
Right.
Next level too.
So do you guys feel that it's important to lean into your community more, like this family that you have built? Some say like these side projects with turning things into COVID friendly, like drive-ins or music concerts, those help to alleviate some of that mental pressures. Like, what do you guys think about that?
I also think what's been helping are these tour groups and production coordinator groups on Facebook of people showing them doing regular stuff.
Yeah. Right.
Going to like go see some courses or go to the beach, like an actual life beyond it. I think is more of what we needed to see, because our self-worth is really attached to
your job. What do you do?
And with
means who you are.
Our self-worth is beyond that, you know, because we do it for on the road. You can take all those principles and apply it to almost anything.
Yeah. I want to impress I want to impress upon you all to check this group out. Some friends of mine that I toured with ended up creating this thing called the Roadie Clinic. And it was supposed to launch, but the pandemic happened. They made a facility for roadies, about 15 minutes, if you had a day off in Detroit, 15 minutes out of Detroit. It's an entire facility for roadies. Let's say you couldn't get your family to the hotel. They have lodging there. There's mixing studios for you to do stuff on your day off, kitchens, free therapists and substance abuse counselors on your day off in Detroit to just go kick it and not have to spend money on food per se.
That's important.
That's incredible.
That's important.
That's incredible.
Please, because they're trying to build it out across the country, but the first one is there and this pandemic swept. So I'm trying to tell people to check them out so we can make more of them, because
So with all of that, like, what do you guys see? How do you see touring life and venue spaces after post-COVID, or even as we're transitioning? What do you think that looks like? And are these like things that you all would like to see more of? I love that idea about the clinic and the mental health space.
Well, I'll tell you this much. I have come to grips with the thing about that meet and greets are probably disappearing, but I'm really trying to settle myself with there won't be a GA floor anymore. GA floor.
But can I?
Of that, you know, I think that we could still have some socially distanced meet and greets. You know, I know we all get desensitized to the stars that we're around, and we don't get starstruck anymore. But there's plenty of people out there that if they're 20 feet away from their idol, they feel like they feel better. You know,
but does it? But I'm like, can I say this? But what do you do? It's got to change, right? Because I mean, when we work at venues where people drink, and as soon as they start drinking, it turns into something different. You get what I'm saying? So it's like I'm really
my goal, and I'm thinking with meet and greets, is if we remove the physical hugging and we get to fist bumps, what you're going to pay for is more individualized time to talk with them. I feel like that's the only thing you can trade versus getting them in, get a picture, say what you got to say, go. If you knew you got 5-10 minutes of their time and give it to you, maybe we could.
I mean,
that's a good compromise.
How many people you touch and you talking to and you're walking with, and you like, hey man, you've been in this business for 15, 20 years, you're hugging people. It's definitely got to change. And it's
gonna be hard. I mean,
it's good. I mean, yeah, it's gonna be hard, man.
Well, even outside of meet and greet spaces, what do your venue spaces? I'm sorry.
I was just saying it's gonna be hard because I'm a hugger. You know, my tour family, that's my family. Like, you know, there's no other word. And Polo,
we fight together. We fight together. We love together. We drink together. We eat together. It is that. And
buses, you know, Polo and I on this last tour were on separate buses. We wake up in the morning, we give each other a hug. We go to work and we argue and we do our thing, whatever it is. If we have a problem at the end of the night, we hug each other. We go on the bus, wake up, and repeat.
Repeat.
So now, what is that going to look like? What are you guys going to do?
We don't know. We have to respect each other. We won't be able to hug each other no more. It's all over.
Here's a question for y'all. Do you all feel comfortable getting back on a bus?
That's a good question.
I kind of like what Maceo said. It's gonna be a whole lot easier to keep the bus freezing cold.
Yeah, but he just get his way and just have the bus by himself. He's
gonna have it.
It's not gonna affect him that much. But I once again, what I was saying earlier, I'm not really excited about jumping back to work because of the politics of everything else. You know what I'm saying? It's like you don't know what is going to happen. You know, you don't know. And I don't know if we need to get into it, but it's like, I don't know. This vaccine, how are they going to start mandating everybody get a vaccine? It's just so many different things. I'm starting to focus on other stuff. Like I said, when my son, this is one thing. When you hear your son go, I'm like, I want to go to the beach. And he goes, you know, we haven't been to the beach in a really long time, Dad. I was looking at him like, because I remember when we used to go to the beach. I remember us playing basketball. I remember you take for granted the time that you can spend. Like she said, I'm gardening. I'm painting the house. I'm trying to figure. I'm picking up books too. I haven't read a book in 10 years. It's like, yo, you just gotta change and grow, figure out a way to go. I don't know if I want to go back.
I have a question for James. I know because you said you're a band manager. So how does that work now with COVID and the band? Like you're responsible for others. You know, you're
Absolutely.
not on the receiving end. You know, how does that work with bookings and how creative have you gotten now, or what does that look like in the future?
Oh, absolutely. So right now, you know, we're in the age of virtual events, virtual conferences, virtual shows. Everything is digital now, and so right now we do pre-recorded shows and we license them off to be utilized for different government events and different conferences and shows and things of that nature. It's not quite the same. It doesn't feel the same. I'm thankful to continue to be a musician. It's not quite the same. One thing I did want to say, though, even though we miss the time of being present in those spaces, we still have the time. And so we just have, we redirect our focuses. I really like what Polo is pointing out about how he's able to reconnect with his son and how important that was, and how he's like, man, I remember when we used to do that. And so there are so many aspects of us beyond the music that we have the ability and the privilege of being able to hone in on. I really truly believe that we will not stop doing the things that we love in regards to music. However, it just may look different. And I think that we love it so much that whatever the differences are, we'll be able to adapt in those areas. But yes, to answer your question, as for now, everything is pretty much virtual.
So you
go ahead, Polo.
No, because I'm doing the same thing. When before the thing hit, before I went on the road, me and my band was like, we were getting back together. Oh, we putting the band back together, and it's like they panicked. They got really panicked about that, and I was like, yo, well, you can record. I can record at my house. You can record at your house, and it just shut. It's like, yo, maybe we just got to start thinking of doing other things. It's not about that. We don't have to be in the same room. You know, huh?
Some of
You
this
don't
stuff
have to
we could have been doing years ago.
We could have. We realized that with these corporations, right? Like, oh, we could have been working from home a long time ago. Oh, you could have been giving money to the poor a long time ago. $600 unemployment, you could have been did that. But, you know, I get it. Well, that's beautiful. I think that that's a beautiful space to be in, to count your blessings, of course, you know, and also to adapt. You know, we are always evolving, and the best way to grow is to be forced to, right? So
y'all get our comfort zone, you know?
Exactly.
If this did anything but force us out of a comfort zone and learn something new, I'll take it.
Absolutely.
I will never be rude about per diem, whatever. How many towels I get for a shower ever again.
This might get us more showers, though.
I have been saying that to people, that now I might be able to finagle a space to get cleaning attendants for showers, because now we've got to do the after show showers different. Load out.
Oh,
I love it. I love it. I think this was very important, though, just Noelle, you know, in creating this space to have people of like minds or like industries actually have a space, a safe space to necessarily vent or to give back or just to communicate and process this, because as we know, we chose this world. Sometimes it chose us, you know, and we still have to, like I said, adapt and evolve.
I think it's important to remember that we did choose this, but that's also the damning factor of it all. You know, the hardest part is going to be to remember is that we chose it, so we have to we also have to choose to adapt.
Yeah,
that's true. But even if
everybody that knows me knows I'm hard-headed, real hard-headed, and it's been difficult, but you know what? It's been for the better too.
Agreed, but look at it this way too. We might have chose this life and whatever, but we also chose one of the only fields that is guaranteed to not stop based on any natural disaster.
Yo.
Strangely, the one thing, because we will be able to stage lights, sound, and
facts.
lightning.
Facts.
I always said, no matter how bad the economy was,
unbelievable to happen to us this way.
Facts.
You know what I mean?
Yo.
Like, we're the last ones to get affected by anything. We can build you a whole show in a tornado, wait for it to finish, and then do the show. So it's a different territory.
Exactly. So I guess close out. I want to ask if you want to share one or two things that maybe you've learned, picked up, adapted to since COVID, or a mental health releaser, stress reliever, or anything like that. Take the floor. I will say I'll start. For me, I have been spending a lot more time in nature and a lot more time with my daughter. Less distractions, which has allowed me the space to really be creative and write.
Dope.
I would probably say really find out what your hobbies are. You'll forget them, so busy with work that you really actually have things that you have interest in or desires for. And make sure to learn your job over and over again. Now is the time to go through every old binder you have of your old workplaces and make databases of every point of contact you've ever made and have it all compiled for the next thing. Because when we get an exercise, because when we go back to work, half of y'all gonna be winded.
She ain't lying.
I'm not lying, and you know it. So
I know for a fact. from experience.
So do what you can to educate yourself in what you really want to do, because it's going to come back. It's just going to be a different way, and you should be prepared.
I would say best thing that I've learned, hold on to your family. Everything I've ever done, everything we ever do has always been for our families anyways. And you get so wrapped up in the work, it gets pushed to the side. Just did. Having all this time, it's been probably the best. Reconnect with my kids, reconnect with all my family members, go have time that just, when your mom and your dad says, hey, you want to come up for the weekend? Oh, I'm too busy. I got work. I got this. Relearn the value of that time, because I don't think we're ever going to get, hopefully, we're ever going to get another reminder like this. And we're not going to get this blessing in disguise of, yes, it's been bad, but it has opened the eyes to go, hey, breathe. Take the time, value yourself, and reconnect with your family.
Okay. I only say we got into a lot of arguments, and you think that those things be, we're fighting and we're moving so fast. I just wanted to say to you, Wes, man, I apologize. We didn't need to argue. It wasn't that serious. It's never that serious. You know what I mean?
But it's like
because you want everything to be perfect. I could see how that manifested in my own life, because you just gotta love people, man. We gotta love each other, and it's time to get close with your family.
Absolutely.
It's about love, man. It's just about love. Like, you just gotta stay strong, man. Take care of your family. Period.
James, any gems for us?
Yeah, man, that's a tough one to follow, man. I would have to say, the reason that we got shut down was a virus. And so I think the one thing that I honed in on was my health, and making sure that I just put myself in a space where I took care of my body. I just started exercising a whole lot more. I started being more conscious about what I was eating. Be more conscious about getting rest that was extremely needed. I know all of us have been on the road, and the times that we get to sleep is just very minimal. And so that's such an important thing for us to just have some downtime, man. And also just to remind ourselves that, we do these things. We do lighting, we do sound, we do stage. But we are so much more than just the things that we do. And we have so much more to offer to the world, and just continuously reminding myself and reminding other people that, we are so much more, and that we're all in it together. So that's my takeaway.
Thank you so much, everybody. It is now 6 o'clock, 3 o'clock over yonder, and I will be throwing it back to Noel. What's up, Roadie? How you doing?
I'm not muted. I'm not sure if I'm on. Thank you, everyone. This was an amazing discussion. I appreciate each of you individually and collectively. I feel that this message was definitely needed and will get out there. For everyone that has been viewing, I want to thank you for another week with What's Up, Roadie? How you doing? Next week is our first part for the venue episodes. So next week we will focus on venue, production, and security. So thank you again. And I also want to thank Protest Party TV for allowing us this platform to get this wonderful message out that is needed. We want you to share, like, subscribe to the YouTube channel. All recordings will be posted on Wednesday morning for everyone to review and share and share and share again. So thank you, everyone, and good night, I guess.
Revolution, 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 revolution.
Thank y'all so much for coming in. Thank y'all for joining us tonight on Kicking It with Kirk.
Thanks for tuning in to the Introvert Dating Success Show.
Welcome to our second edition of Diversity in Lighting.
Tonight's video is super off the cuff.
The first question of the day, plain and simple, is marriage hard?
We're going to be answering a question from a guy. His current girlfriend has been communicating with a toxic ex-boyfriend.
How do we get BIPOCs into these positions of power?
I want to talk about performative activism and why it's so harmful to the Black Lives Matter movement.
So let's dive in it, man.
Revolution. If you don't like what we doing, if you don't want to rock with the NFAC, that's cool. Form your own militia.
There is a playbook for this shit. It's not like we have to create it from scratch just because now we're all digital.
We need people who are there on the computer and off of it. You have to be there for the good and the bad. You can't just be there when it's most convenient for you.
If they was really about what they was about, they would have been at all the formations.
But you need to make sure also that Black ideas and Black people creating culture get funded.
It's not just who we see on stage, it's those that they point to at their curtain call.
Listen, have the conversation, be humble, admit what mistakes were made.
These chat rooms can go, boy. This thing has me rolling. Somebody did say, what about them women who be proposing to their men? Should the men take their last name? Absolutely. Absolutely.
If you want to be a part of this fight, you're going to have to learn to be uncomfortable.
Revolution.